Greetings and welcome back. So first of all, I want to thank everyone that is my new subscribers. Again, thank you so much for subscribing. If you have any requests or anything that you're seeing, any patterns, whether that be numbers, um, animals specifically, animals, flowers, and food specifically, because I do want to start talking about other things as well. But I'm going to go back and forth because there's so many animals. And I don't know if you guys noticed that, I dipped into the ocean, even though last week was about the bear. But now we're going to dip onto the ocean floor, kind of like what we did with the seahorse, and discover how the deeper that you go into the waters in the ocean, the more interesting things get. So when we think about water and we think about the sea in general, just to talk about the general topic that we've been covering, we think about space because it's as above, so below, as within, so without. So above we have space and below we have space. So when we talk about, symbolism, and when we talk about water in general, we know that we're exploring space. We know that we're exploring the waters. The waters are space. And I talked about it during the Orca show that, our brains and our organs and all of that exists in special waters that have special salts. Just like the sea has a lot of special salts as well. There's a lot of minerals that come out of there and a lot of seaweeds and things that come out of there, multiple different kinds that have several different nutritional benefits that have tons of minerals that are considered superfoods. So when we think about the sea, it's highly nutritional, in so many ways, whether it be the seaweed that we get from there that we eat, whether it be just what is under the water, what's there. There's a lot of information as far as animals. So it's just wonderful. So today we're going to be talking about the octopus symbolism. I wanted to get into some of the scientific stuff about it, which we kind of will, but this animal is so mystical. It's so mystical. It's just, we're dipping into more of the occult side of things. I know with the bear, we kind of dipped a little bit into it, but this is something else. So first of all, I want to share something with you because when I was doing my research on the octopus, I remembered years ago, like 9 years ago, I was on the beach with my previous boyfriend, and we were in North Carolina, which is the islands of North Carolina, which I'm Geechee, so I have history, a heritage there. So we were there, we were sitting on the beach, and it was late. And the reason we were sitting on the beach is because it was around July, and the dog star is always out around that time. Also, the interesting thing about July season in North Carolina, specifically at Wrightsville Beach, it's jellyfish season, and there's tons of jellyfish. You will see them all the time. They'll be on the sea and things like that. And I've even been stung by a jellyfish when I was like 12. So there's always jellyfish around North Carolina beaches. It's a smaller kind. I don't know the name, but it's all white and they're not huge. They're rather small, but sometimes they wash up on the sea. The ones that die, I don't know why they were dying like that, but they're everywhere during this time, along with the dog star being out during July. So that night when we were out on the beach or whatever, it was late at night, maybe like almost midnight. And it was pitch black and the sky was amazing. You could see all of the stars out. I mean, there were so many stars. Like, it's not like being in a city and stargazing. This was like amazing. Even when I went to Florida, I never saw a sky like the sky that I saw in North Carolina that year. And that was about 10 years ago. I haven't seen a sky like that in a long time. But every inch of the sky was stars. It was amazing. And it just had a very mystical feel in the air, very spiritual energy, like high energy. And I kept seeing something in the ocean. Like we were sitting at a distance from the shore, but I kept seeing something kind of dark moving. And I kept looking over to the right and I thought I was like kind of seeing things. So I just was writing it off. But, what actually was when I realized that it was actually something going on, like what is over there formulating, because it looked like it was shape shifting, like whatever it was, it looked like a dog, then it looked like a tire. It just looked like many different things that my brain was identifying, but it was shape shifting very fast. So after about 5 to 10 minutes of that just continuing to go on, I realized that it became more profound. So I had to say something to my ex, and I was just like, do you see that over there? Because I'm sorry, like I see something over there and I don't know what's going on. Because at first I thought it was just a lady, because in North Carolina, there's no light pollution. Like on the beach, there's no pollution. So it's really black. It's really dark at night. And, way darker than any, Florida beach. I mean, not any Florida beach, but like the more popular ones that I went to. And anyway, so he said that he saw it too, and he was wondering what it was too. So we were both seeing the same thing. And anyway, so of course, after a while, we were looking like, what is it? We thought it was a person, maybe somebody. He said he thought it was somebody walking their dog. This is the type of shape shifting that was going on, and this was all like in the waters, but close to the shore. So after a while, it started getting bigger and bigger to the point that it looked like a translucent being that developed and grew in height. So it ended up being like 7 feet tall or something crazy. But I watched it transform with my ex at the time, with my boyfriend at the time. I watched it form, and it ended up looking kind of just like, and it didn't dawn on me until just now, when, I mean, not just now, but until I started looking into the octopus. But I was always wondering, why did the figure, the translucent being, have like this kind of pointy head? And then I could never explain its legs properly, but its legs were kind of like gliding, because it didn't have legs. It had like these gliding tentacles basically. And I never could describe it at that point in time. And that was the beginning stages of, my path, about roughly like almost 10 years ago. And I never could describe, what was going on. Right. So after that, once it formulated, it actually started moving on the beach, but it went horizontally. So it wasn't going up the beach. It was going across the beach. And we were like in shock. My ex was terrified. So he was like holding my arm like, oh my goodness, what is going on? And I was just like in amazement, like, whoa, what is going on? There's this tall figure, literally like a squid head, because it was more tall than an octopus head. So yeah, it was just real interesting. So it was gliding, and he's terrified, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should shine a light on it. He's like, no, do not shine a light on it. But I was just so curious about what it was. So it passed us, but it was at a distance because it was closer to the shore, and it was traveling along just like an octopus, just like the legs, the movement was just like an octopus or a squid. And it really didn't dawn on me until just now. But it was a translucent figure, like kind of like human octopus. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. But anyway, long story short is, after it went past us, it kept going, it kept going, it kept going. I don't know how many feet it was away. It had to be at least, I don't know, maybe 90 feet away from us, and it just stops. And it turns, and we swore, maybe it didn't look at us, but we swore that it looked at us, and it started coming back in our direction. So naturally we got freaked out. I think he more was freaked out than I was, honestly. And then he started like, let's go, let's get out of here. And then we just ran. And this was like early stages. I don't know. Looking back, I really wish that I didn't do that, but you never know. Maybe that was a good thing. Who knows? I don't know. But if it was like me now, I definitely would have never ran. But yeah, you got to grow and develop. However, um, this is interesting because it talks about, when you look at the ancient stories and stuff like that, and it talks about how human life exists and how it is created, and everything is gas, liquid, solid, right? And even our bodies When you listen to like ancient texts and you hear like occultists, it's that we were in a lighter frequency. We had lighter bodies. And watching that thing form, whatever it was a terrestrial being, whatever it was, it formed itself out of the waters and became 7 feet tall and was moving like an octopus. And it was like, it went from liquid to like a gas-like translucent figure, not like a ghost that you would see, or not like that, not what you think in the movies, like something that I really can't explain fully. But actually what it reminded me of is, if you look at the octopus, it has this like clear, like, uh, lining around its head, the top of its like shell, its head. That's exactly what the figure appeared to be like. Like it had that lining look, like that translucent, way of being. So anyway, I wanted to share that because that was a deeply profound mystical experience. One of my top 5 experiences that I've ever had on this path, because I've seen a lot of stuff. But I think that there is a connection to the octopus, because when I started looking into the octopus and all these different things, it really is an extraordinary being. It's extremely intelligent. We're going to get right into it, actually. And, okay, I had to take a quick pause. Excuse me. So the typical keywords for octopus is intelligence, transformation, resilience, um, adaptability, regeneration. So those are the things that you see when you typically look it up or whatever. But after listening to some documentaries and watching, I've gained more information. First of all, the octopus is a cephalopod, is the genus name. So that's the genus name for the octopus. The octopus has 3 hearts and it has 8 brains. I'm sorry, no, it has 9 brains. It has the main brain and then its tentacles, which are located in its head. And then its tentacles are literally their own brains. So they can literally operate, like one tentacle could be focused on this and the other tentacles are not even concerned or connected to whatever is going on with the other tentacles. So they had some stuff that they were showing about studies that they did where the octopus would be opening up a jar with 2 tentacles and the other tentacles are doing other things and just simultaneously doing different things. That is insane. So obviously that is like, that's a symbol of intelligence. The heart is definitely an intelligent organ, and this being has 3 hearts and 9 brains. So if we just look at the symbolism numerologically at that, you have 3, which is Mercury. Mercury rules over the nervous system, so this being is obviously a symbol of intelligence. Then you look at the number 9, which is the Godhead. Godhead is, when you think about 9, you think about Sagittarius, right? So, because that's the 9th constellation that rules over this, that's in the sky, the 9th part of the sky. So the 9 is the 1 and the 0, which is the Alpha and the Omega, which makes it the Godhead, what makes it the completion of cycles, of understanding, and things like that. So that's another intellectual type energy. When we think about the 9, it's like, the centaur also connected to the arrows shooting to the heavens, just having that higher thought. And then when you think about the 9th part of the sky, it rules over, words like philosophy, religion, higher education, politics, all the things that are associated with the higher realms of thinking. And then when you add 3 and 9 together, that's 12, which is the completion of all the 12 constellations, the number of God also, or the goddess, because it represents the fish, the 2 fishes, which is duality. Anything with duality is highly intelligent, but the fish are swimming in the cycle. So when you see, like typically even in a taijutsu symbol called the yin and yang that I love to talk about, you see them swimming in a cycle, and the 12 is the completion of a cycle. So the, octopus also represents, the higher intelligence, the completion of the highest thing, and then also the fact that it equals up to 12. In Pisces, the 12th part of the sky is associated with water elements. and it lives at the bottom of the ocean floor. So this is, very occult when we think about the octopus, right? So what else did I write down? Let me look at my notes. It's a lot to cover. Okay. So another thing, octopus are extrasensory beings. So their intelligence is not only from the fact, well, they're tentacles. They have brains in their tentacles, and they use those tentacles to feel and touch and sense things and gather information. So that's sensory abilities. It smells. The octopus can't see. It can see, but it's colorblind. So, but however, it has the ability to change colors like at the drop, like within seconds. In fact, an octopus can change its camouflage 177 times an hour. So this represents accuracy. And I could say, actually, just hearing this about the octopus and also seeing the speed that it can change its camouflage, equaling out to 200 milliseconds. I'm sorry, octopus camouflage reaction speed is up to 200 milliseconds, which is crazy. So it almost can change its like colors, and I mean to a whole different color spectrum, white to like dark purple, like the color, like plum purple almost within seconds, like light, like lightning fast. You know what I mean? So when we think about the octopus and the fact that it's extrasensory, it's like that. Its body is just completely soft and is using its entire body to sense what's going on, to feel what's going on. This is linked to when you see the octopus, you could be entering a new level of sensory. You could be tapping into your sensory on another level that you weren't on before. And this is what happens in spiritual evolution in earth. And when we get in touch with our bodies through meditation and things like that and grounding, you're able to move blockages out and open up pathways for greater feeling and sensory that actually give you, higher side abilities like echolocation and being tapped into yourself more and being tapped into your inner GPS, which is basically your natal chart, but it's within your DNA. So a lot of people don't like to talk about this stuff, but guess what? It's a real thing because I've experienced it. So the octopus can provide a wide variety of colors without seeing and touching. So this is also goes back to the fact of like not having it can't see black and white. It only sees black and white, but it's able to feel and sense through its skin the color spectrum of its environment or whatever it's trying to camouflage to, because excellent. It is a master camouflager. And so the octopus is just sensing everything, and based off of its sensory, immediately with accuracy, it can change its color within seconds, even being able to mimic like reefs, putting like ridges and bumps and lumps into its skin to become exactly what it's like, all based off of sensory within seconds, to the point that you would not be able to identify it if you weren't highly observant. So this goes back to showcasing that sensory is a high form of intelligence. And a lot of the stuff that we eat, especially in America, has all these chemicals. And people always wonder, they're always like, well, I'm going to die anyway. Well, forget the dying part. Of course, everybody's going to die, even though there's no such thing as death. But the reality is that that's not what it's for. It's basically to die down your senses, so you're not tapped into your power, because real power comes from within. And that's what people that were master kung fu artists, master shaman masters, master yogis and things like that really understood, and actually were sages, and even samurais and different fighting techniques. The best fighters are always tapped into their sensory, tapped in tune with what is going on, the senses and the rhythms. Everything associated with movement. And that's why movement is so powerful, like dancing and things like that are very powerful, because it taps you into your body on another level, making you have these extrasensory abilities and things like that. So, that is phenomenal. So senses and touch. So like I said, If you're running into the octopus, you're developing a higher form of intelligence. This form of intelligence is through sensory. And everybody is all into this AI stuff, but the thing is that AI is not allowing you to develop your brain to the capacity that it can be at, because it's almost softening your brain and allowing other computers to do it for you. So I'm not 100% against AI, but I could see how it could become out of control and actually disempower people instead of realizing that you have the potential to wake up to higher sensory levels that you wouldn't even believe. That would be astonishing. But they have you more focused on AI and developing that instead of actually developing inner power, which is the key to unlocking life's greatest treasures and gifts. Another thing about octopuses that are interesting is that they also have like they're aware of people. They have consciousness, like a very high consciousness. If they don't like people, they actually will distance themselves from people and actually form colors that show aggression towards people. So they have people that they do like and people that they don't like. They're very playful, so when they're not worrying about prey and things like that, they play. And this also goes back to the mystic side of things, the deeper wisdom of deeper wisdom in general of play, and how play is really important, how art is really important, and creative expression in the forms of play, like dancing, like we talked about, are very important because they tap you into other aspects, other sensory. And this is what the octopus does. It plays. And another thing too about the octopus, what makes it more super intelligent, it's not territorial. It can live it completely in peace with other octopus. There's no reports of octopus having fights or anything like that. So this being is just super intelligent. I mean, even if you look at the way that it looks, it's very alien-like, very terrestrial, and its lifespan is before dinosaurs and fish, apparently. So this being has been on the planet for a long time, and it actually used to have a hard shell, and now it's developed completely into a soft shell, but learned how to adapt and make that absolutely a major strength. I mean, especially the camouflaging techniques. There's no other animal on this planet that camouflage technique is on that level, yeah. I'm just saying. It's amazing. So let me see if there's anything else I want to cover. I know this has been like a long show, but I had to tell you all that story because it came into my mind when I was studying this. Oh, okay. So, also there's one other thing. The fact that the octopus is super like the master camouflage thing, and it obviously represents the occult because when I was looking at these videos and just grabbing like the truth from these videos and things like that, the real truth, not whatever they're trying to inject into our minds. When they were talking about that, they kept talking about how they have all these theories that basically octopus came in from a comet and blah, blah, blah. And they're outer space beings. They like came here on a comet and it crashed, kind of like with Moldavite. Moldavite is a crystal that is very high frequency that came here from a different planet, literally. So it's an outer space crystal that's here on Earth. That's pretty expensive, but not as expensive as a diamond or something like that. But it is very expensive and it is very powerful, and it has the power to shift your entire frequency. And so the octopus, they're saying that it's also an outer space being. So the thing about it is the fact that it just hides in plain sight, that also showcases the occult. It's in plain sight, it's right in front of you, you can't see it. And that's the hidden. That represents the occult. What's not seen, what's not being observed, where there's no attention being sent. It's unseen. You're unaware. And that's the power of this whole show, is symbolism, because it's what you're not paying attention to that you're seeing every day that is highly profound, like this octopus. Man, I definitely recommend you guys to watch some stuff on the octopus. There's a lot to cover, but this is already a very lengthy video. But that's pretty much it. So that wraps it up. So let's go over the keywords. Transformation, because obviously the octopus can transform excuse me, into different colors and into ridges, into lumps, and become soft again. Also the fact that it was evolved from a hard shell to a completely soft body with no skeletons. I mean, that's crazy. And no bones, you know. I'm sorry, no skeleton, bones. So that's insane. So that represents transformation, adaptability, of course, super high intelligence based off of its sensory and the fact that it has 3 hearts and 9 brains. Insane. Also, it represents extra sensory, higher development of chakras, higher development of sensory and just touch and feeling and seeing and hearing and anything related to the senses, smell, things like that. So it represents that too, like psychic abilities heighten, like a shift in psychic abilities. So yeah, this is a very mystical animal. The one other thing that I didn't say that it could represent as well is contact with other beings beyond. If you see the octopus, you could be in contact with higher beings, with higher forms of intelligence, ascended masters, and things like that. And they're trying to initiate you into new levels of consciousness. And sometimes that could be in the form of challenging situations because you have to go through a lot of darkness to get the deeper wisdom. The octopus is a representation of the sea, right? I mean, of the space. So he is at the bottom of the sea. He goes deep. He's deep, deep, deep in the waters, getting all of, the wisdom and the knowledge. And then sitting there representing, looking at the numbers, the fact that he's ruling that 12 equals 3, and that's Mercury, and Mercury is intellect. Also, Mercury typically represents Buddha and Vedic astrology, also known as sidereal astrology, or, Eastern astrology, which that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, so this is a powerful symbol of intelligence regardless, and intelligent through sensory. And also the black and white is duality. So anyway, much love, much peace. Thank you for listening if you made it all the way through. This was a gem for me and you. I'll see you next week. I mean, on Thursday. Peace.